The mysterious absence. The Galactic Senate was a powerful body, a gathering of the greatest minds from across the galaxy. Planets, moons, and alien races, all with their own unique cultures, beliefs, and histories, sent representatives to sit in the Senate. Their mission was to ensure peace, solve conflicts, and make decisions that affected every being in the galaxy. But one seat in the Grand Chamber of the Senate had always remained empty. The seat that was reserved for Earth, the home of humanity, was never filled. Every meeting, every decision, Earth's place sat still, untouched, waiting for someone who never came. For centuries, the senators had accepted this oddity. They whispered about Earth's absence in hushed tones, questioning why the humans didn't show up, why they remained silent. Some of them believed it was a sign of weakness. After all, Earth was a planet known for its history of wars, conflicts, and resilience. Yet here it was, absent from the most important meetings in the galaxy. One such senator, Orlan Vasca, a young but ambitious leader from the planet Ursa, had heard the whispers. He had always wondered why Earth, with all its resources and history, refused to join the Galactic Senate. His people, the Ursans, were a warrior race, proud and strong, and they had never hesitated to defend their seat in the Senate. To them, the Senate was a way to ensure their survival and influence. But Earth had remained quiet. Orlan had grown up hearing stories of humanity's great victories, their ability to survive against impossible odds, and their incredible adaptability. They had overcome wars, poverty, and challenges that no other race in the galaxy had ever faced. How could a species so strong refuse to join the Senate? One day, during a particularly heated discussion about a new treaty that would affect several star systems, Orlan stood up. He was no stranger to the Senate's debates, but today, something felt different. The Senate chamber was filled with the usual debates about resource control and military alliances. The senators were loud, their voices echoing off the walls. But there was something missing, something vital. The absence of Earth's voice. Orlan's eyes scanned the room, his gaze landing on the empty seat. It was always there, quietly sitting in the midst of all the debates, waiting for someone to take it. Earth's absence had become a familiar part of the Senate's routine, but to Orlan, it was a mystery that begged for an answer. The Senate's leader, High Chancellor Zarkin, stood at the podium, his voice booming over the room. He spoke of the new treaty, of how it would bring peace to some sectors and tension to others. But as Orlan listened, he could not stop thinking about Earth. Why had the humans not come? What had made them stay away? Did they know something the others did not? Senator Vasca, Zarkin's voice broke through his thoughts. You have the floor. Orlan stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. He had not planned on speaking today, but the question had been building inside him for too long. High Chancellor, he began, his voice steady but loud enough for all to hear, I cannot help but wonder, why is Earth's seat always empty? Why has no representative come from their planet in centuries? The room went silent. Senators turned their eyes toward Orlan, some surprised, others uncomfortable. This was not a question usually asked aloud. The absence of Earth was a matter not to be discussed, at least not in public. Zarkin's expression hardened. He had heard the question before, but he had never expected a senator to speak it so openly. Senator Vasca, he replied slowly, that is a matter for Earth's leaders to address. We do not concern ourselves with their decisions. But Orlan was not satisfied. With all due respect, Chancellor, shouldn't we? Earth's absence is not just an issue for Earth. It is an issue for the entire Senate. We are supposed to work together, make decisions together. Yet, we have left one of the most powerful planets in the galaxy out of our discussions. Why? What do we not know about Earth that we should? The tension in the room was palpable. Some senators exchanged glances, while others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The topic was uncomfortable, but it was also important. Earth has made its choice, Zarkin said, his voice colder now. They choose not to participate, and that is their right. The Senate does not force participation. But Orlin was not done. He knew the answer was not that simple. I understand, Chancellor, but what if their choice is not based on weakness? What if there is something more to it? What if Earth has been waiting for the right moment? And now, that moment is approaching. His words echoed through the room. The senators who had been ignoring the subject now leaned in, their curiosity piqued. Earth was a mystery, and Orlin had just thrown a spark into the room. What if Earth's absence was not out of fear or weakness, but out of strategy? What if they had been waiting for something? Something no one knew. High Chancellor Zarkin's gaze lingered on Orlin for a moment, and then he spoke. You are asking questions that are beyond our control, Senator. Let it go. But it was too late. Orlin's question had been planted, and it would grow, forcing the Senate to confront an uncomfortable truth. Earth was not just absent. It was absent for a reason. And now, the galaxy would have to face the consequences of that silence. The secret investigation. Orlin Vasca could not let go of the questions that plagued him after his bold words in the Senate chamber. Earth's absence from the Galactic Senate was not just an oversight. It was a mystery, one that seemed to hide something far bigger than anyone had guessed. He returned to his home planet of Ursa after the Senate meeting, but the matter of Earth weighed heavily on his mind. Ursa was a planet full of warriors, where strength and honor were valued above all else. Yet even here, where the people were fierce and proud, Orlin had always felt an uneasy curiosity about Earth. Why did they choose to remain silent when their voice could have changed the fate of the galaxy? Why was their seat always empty? Unable to ignore his growing obsession, Orlin began his own investigation. He accessed the Senate archives, a vast collection of records from every planet that had ever been part of the Galactic Senate. There were records of treaties, wars, peace agreements, and countless other documents. But one thing was always missing: information about Earth. At first, Orlin thought it was just an oversight. But as he dug deeper, he realized that the information on Earth was sparse, almost deliberately so. There were mentions of Earth in older documents from centuries ago, before Earth had chosen to withdraw from the Senate. But they were vague, unclear, and often contradictory. Some records spoke of Earth as a powerful ally, others of a planet in decline, while a few suggested that Earth had been involved in a war long before the Senate was formed. The more Orlin read, the more he felt that the truth was being hidden, buried deep within the archives. There had to be something more, something no one wanted to talk about. The deeper he went into the old records, the more he realized that Earth was not just another planet. Earth had secrets, secrets that the Senate, and perhaps even the galaxy itself, had been trying to erase for generations. Orlin knew that if he was going to uncover the truth, he would need to dig beyond the official records. So he reached out to a group of trusted informants, scholars, researchers, and former senators who had worked in the Senate's archives for years. These were people who had heard rumors, people who knew about the whispers that surrounded Earth. After a few days of gathering information, Orlin met with a retired senator named Velia from the planet Osura. Velia had been in the Senate long before Orlin had ever set foot in the chamber, and she had always been known for her knowledge of ancient galactic history. She was old now, her hair turning white, but her mind was sharp. "Senator Vasca," Velia said when they met in her small, quiet office, "I know what you are looking for, but you must understand, some things are better left unknown." Orlin leaned forward, his eyes burning with determination. "I can't let this go, Senator Velia. I need to know what happened to Earth. Why is their seat empty? What is it that the Senate is hiding?" Velia hesitated for a long moment before speaking. "There are stories, old stories, stories about a great war. A war between Earth and a powerful alien race. It was so terrible that the Senate decided to erase all mention of it. They didn't want the galaxy to know the truth, because if they did, it could tear apart everything they had built." Orlin's heart raced. A war? With whom? Velia's eyes shifted nervously. "I can't say for sure. But the rumors, They say that Earth fought a race known as the Uruvans. They were an ancient species, stronger and more dangerous than anything we've ever seen. The war between Earth and the Uruvans was so destructive that it threatened to end all life in the galaxy. Afterward, Earth chose to retreat, to become isolated. Orlan absorbed the information, his mind racing. So Earth didn't leave the Senate because of weakness. They left because of something bigger. Velia nodded slowly. Yes, Earth had to protect itself, and it knew that the Senate could not be trusted. They hid the truth of the war, erased it from history, and chose to remain silent. But they never truly left. Earth is out there, waiting. Orlan felt a chill run down his spine. What Velia had said was not just a theory, it was a warning. Earth was not weak. Earth had been hiding something, and the Senate had covered it up for centuries. Is there any way to find out more? Orlan asked urgently. Where can I find more information? Velia shook her head sadly. The records are gone. Only a few of us know bits and pieces of the truth. But if you keep digging, you may find something. Something that will reveal what Earth has been hiding all these years. Orlan left Velia's office with more questions than answers, but one thing was clear. He was getting closer to uncovering the truth. Earth had not abandoned the Galactic Senate out of fear or weakness. Earth had its own reasons so powerful that they could shake the very foundations of the galaxy. And now Orlan knew it was only a matter of time before the rest of the galaxy discovered the truth. Uncovering the truth. Orlan couldn't sleep that night. The words of Senator Velia echoed in his mind like a haunting melody. Earth had not left the Senate due to weakness or cowardice. They had stayed away because of a war with an ancient, powerful alien species, the Uruvans. But why had Earth fought them? And why had they been so determined to remain silent afterward? As the days passed, Orlan's obsession with the mystery only grew. He spent countless hours going through every scrap of information he could find. There were no answers in the Senate archives, but there was something else, something more personal. Orlan turned his attention to the hidden history of Earth, the documents and records that had been buried beneath layers of secrecy. These weren't official records kept by the Senate. They were the personal accounts of those who had lived through the war, survivors who had seen the horrors of the conflict firsthand. Orlan was able to get his hands on a few of these rare accounts, hidden away in private collections and underground data caches. The more he read, the clearer the picture became. The Uruvans were a race unlike any the galaxy had ever encountered. They were ancient, predating even the earliest records of the Galactic Senate. The Uruvans were known for their incredible strength, speed, and intelligence. They had a single goal: to dominate the galaxy. Their thirst for power had led them to Earth centuries ago, where they saw an opportunity to crush a rising planet and add it to their empire. But Earth wasn't going to fall so easily. The war between Earth and the Uruvans had been devastating. It had lasted for years, with both sides suffering incredible losses. Earth's soldiers were outmatched in nearly every way, but they fought with something the Uruvans didn't expect: human ingenuity. They were outnumbered, but they never gave up. They adapted, they fought smart, and they found ways to use the Uruvans' own technology against them. Eventually, after years of brutal battles, Earth managed to force the Uruvans into retreat. But the victory came at a tremendous cost. The war had ravaged Earth, destroying entire cities, burning forests, and poisoning oceans. Earth's people had fought hard, but they had lost much in the process. The war left scars on the planet, scars that would take generations to heal. And in the aftermath, Earth had made a choice to retreat into isolation. Earth's leaders had understood something the galaxy didn't. While the Uruvans were beaten, they were not destroyed. The Senate, the very organization that was supposed to unite the galaxy, had been too weak to stand against the Uruvans in the war. Earth had realized that it couldn't trust the Senate to protect its interests. And so, Earth chose to withdraw from the galactic stage, to keep its secrets hidden and its power under wraps. But that decision had come with a price. The Senate had erased all records of the war, even the existence of the Eruvans, from history. They had done it to protect the fragile peace they had built. They feared that if the truth came out, the galaxy would fall into chaos. Earth had been forced to remain silent, its seat in the Senate left empty as a symbol of its isolation. Orlan couldn't believe what he was reading. The Senate had covered up Earth's greatest victory, the triumph of humanity over a terrifying alien race. The truth was out there, but no one was willing to face it. The galaxy had been kept in the dark for centuries, and Orlan realized that the only way to bring this truth to light was to confront the Senate itself. But there was more. Among the documents Orlan had uncovered, there was a chilling message, a warning. Earth had not just been hiding the truth to protect itself. Earth had been preparing. For what? Orlan didn't know yet, but the message was clear. Earth was not as isolated as the galaxy thought. Earth was ready. The Senate had underestimated Earth. They had dismissed the planet as insignificant, a seat left empty for far too long. But Earth was a force to be reckoned with, a force that had been waiting for the right moment to return to the galactic stage. And that moment, Orlan feared, was drawing near. As the weight of this discovery settled on his shoulders, Orlan made a decision. He couldn't keep this knowledge to himself. The galaxy needed to know the truth. The Galactic Senate needed to hear the story of Earth's war and its withdrawal from the galactic order. It was time to expose the lies and bring the truth into the light. Orlan knew it wouldn't be easy. The Senate would fight him every step of the way. There were powerful factions within the Senate who would do anything to keep this secret buried. But Orlan was no longer afraid. He had uncovered the truth, and now he was ready to share it with the galaxy. The only question was, would the galaxy be ready to hear it? A dangerous revelation. The Galactic Senate was buzzing with activity. The usual debates filled the chamber, but today there was an underlying tension in the air. Orlan Vasca had been preparing for this moment for weeks. He had gathered the evidence, the records, the hidden truth about Earth, and the war that no one dared to speak of. And now he was about to reveal it all. He stood at the edge of the Senate chamber, staring out at the assembly. Senators from countless worlds were seated in front of him, their faces a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. Some were excited about the upcoming discussions on galactic peace. Others were too absorbed in their own interests to notice the gravity of what was about to unfold. Orlan took a deep breath and stepped forward. His heart pounded in his chest, but his mind was clear. The truth had to be spoken. He had no choice. Senators of the Galactic Senate, he began, his voice steady but loud enough for the entire chamber to hear. I stand before you today with a revelation, a truth that has been buried for centuries, hidden from the eyes of this Senate. It is a truth about Earth, a truth that the Senate has tried to erase from history. The room fell silent. Senators shifted in their seats, exchanging curious looks. Orlan had their attention now. You have all wondered why Earth's seat in this chamber has remained empty for so long. Why Earth, a planet with a history of strength and resilience, has chosen to stay silent in the face of galactic decisions. The answer is not what you think. Earth did not choose to abandon the Senate out of fear or weakness. Earth stayed away because of something much greater. A war that the Senate has worked tirelessly to cover up. The senators leaned forward, their interest piqued. Orlan paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle in the room. It was a war fought with an alien race, the Eruvans, a species so powerful that their mere existence threatened the entire galaxy. Earth fought them alone, for years, in a battle that shook the very foundations of our galaxy. And yet, after their victory, Earth made a choice to withdraw from the Senate and keep the truth hidden. Orlan could feel the eyes of every senator on him, some filled with disbelief, others with anger. But he was not done yet. The Senate feared that if the truth were known, it would shatter the fragile peace we have built. So, they erased every record of the war, wiped clean the history of the Eruvans, and allowed Earth to remain in the shadows. But Earth was not weak. Earth was not hiding in fear. Earth was waiting. And now, the time has come for the truth to be known. The chamber erupted into chaos. Senators stood up, shouting over each other, demanding explanations. Some of them denied Orlan's claims. Others tried to shut him down. But Orlan didn't falter. He had waited too long for this moment. He had uncovered the truth, and now he would make sure the galaxy heard it. I have the records, Orlan continued, holding up a series of documents. I have the evidence of Earth's war with the Uruvans, the destruction they faced, the sacrifices they made. I have the proof that Earth chose isolation not because of weakness, but because of a powerful strategic decision. Earth knew that the Senate could not be trusted to protect them, so they withdrew. But they are not gone. They have been waiting, building, preparing. The Senate chamber was in an uproar. Some senators were yelling at Orlan to stop, while others were demanding that the documents be shared with the entire Senate. Orlan knew that this moment could change everything. The truth was out, and the consequences of it would be far-reaching. High Chancellor Zarkin stood at the podium, his face red with anger. "Senator Vasca," he shouted over the noise, "you are accusing the Senate of erasing the truth, of hiding records that could destabilize the entire galaxy. Do you realize what you are doing? You are putting us all at risk." Orlan did not flinch. The Senate has already put the galaxy at risk by keeping the truth hidden. Earth is not weak, Chancellor. Earth has been hiding in plain sight, and the time for secrecy is over. The room quieted slightly as Zarkin glared at Orlan. "You have no proof," he spat. "These are nothing but lies, fabrications." Orlan's hand trembled as he handed the documents to the Senate's record keeper. "The proof is right here," he said. "The truth will be known. And when it is, the galaxy will understand that Earth was never the weakling the Senate made it out to be. Earth has been preparing for a return to the galactic stage, and when they do return, it will be with a power no one can ignore." The record keeper began to look through the documents, his eyes widening as he read the information. The room held its breath, waiting for his response. Zarkin turned to the record keeper, his voice trembling with fury. "Do not believe him. This is an attempt to destabilize the Senate." But the record keeper stood up, holding the documents high for all to see. "The records, they're real. The war with the Uruvans, the Senate's role in erasing the truth. It's all here." The chamber fell into stunned silence. Orlan's heart raced as he looked around the room. The Senate had been caught in its lie. The truth was out, and there was no going back. But even as the truth was revealed, Orlan knew that the galaxy's reaction would not be simple. There would be factions who would fight to keep Earth's power hidden, who would do anything to suppress the truth. The battle had only just begun. And Orlan, with the truth in his hands, would lead the charge. The hidden power of Earth. The revelation of Earth's secret history rocked the entire Galactic Senate. Orlan Vasca had expected resistance, but he had not prepared for the overwhelming fear that gripped the galaxy once the truth was out. The once dominant belief that Earth was weak, a planet that had chosen to remain silent, was shattered in an instant. Earth had fought and won a war against the Uruvans, a race whose power had nearly destroyed the galaxy, and now it had been revealed that Earth had been silently biding its time, building strength in secrecy. The Senate chamber was now divided. Some senators were furious, desperate to suppress the truth and restore the status quo. Others, fearful of what Earth's return meant, began to question their alliances. They were no longer certain whether Earth could be trusted, and if it could, how dangerous would it be. But Orlan could see through the chaos. He knew that the truth about Earth's power wasn't just about a war fought in the distant past. It was about the future. Earth had been waiting for this moment, for the moment when its people could stand tall once again. The galaxy would have to change. Earth was ready to take its place at the table, but the question remained: would the galaxy accept it? As the weeks passed, Orlan received information that only confirmed his worst fears. Earth had been quietly preparing for the day when it would no longer remain in the shadows. From hidden military bases to advancements in technology, Earth had developed new weapons, ships, and defense systems that surpassed anything the Senate had ever seen. They had watched the galaxy, waiting for the right time to emerge. Orlan knew that this was why Earth had stayed away for so long. They had not been hiding in fear. They had been waiting for the Senate to show its true colors. And now, with the galaxy's attention finally focused on them, Earth was ready to rise. But not everyone in the Senate saw it that way. A faction of senators, led by the powerful Boutran from the planet Rios, saw Earth's hidden strength as a threat to their own power. They had ruled the Senate for centuries, and the idea of a resurgent Earth, one that could challenge their dominance, was unacceptable. Boutran had already begun rallying support among the more conservative factions of the Senate, pushing for Earth to be punished for its secrecy, for its power, for its refusal to participate in the Senate's grand plans. Orlan found himself caught in the middle of this growing conflict. While some senators wanted to negotiate with Earth, hoping to establish new alliances, others wanted to crush Earth's ambitions before they could rise. Earth's return had sparked a new era of galactic politics, one where power was no longer concentrated in the hands of a few. It was a time when every planet, every species, every race would have to reconsider their place in the galaxy. As Orlan worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between the Senate and Earth, he received a secret transmission from Earth's leaders. It was a simple message, but its meaning was clear. Earth was not seeking to dominate the galaxy. Earth was seeking equality. They were ready to join the Senate, to bring their knowledge and their strength to the table. But they demanded respect. Respect for the sacrifices they had made. Respect for the price they had paid to survive. The message shook Orlan to his core. It was not a call for war, nor a demand for power. It was a simple request for recognition. Earth wanted to be part of the galaxy, but on their own terms. They wanted to rebuild their place in the Senate, not as an afterthought, but as a powerful and respected member of the galactic community. But not everyone was willing to accept that. High Chancellor Zarkin, seeing the shift in power, called for an emergency session of the Senate. He knew that Earth's return could either unite the galaxy or tear it apart. As the Senate gathered, tension filled the room. On one side stood the factions that feared Earth's power and wanted to crush it before it could rise. On the other side stood those who believed that Earth's knowledge, strength, and resilience could lead the galaxy into a new age of cooperation. Orlan stood at the center of it all. He had fought for the truth, and now he would fight for Earth's future in the Senate. He had seen the galaxy's reaction to Earth's strength, fear, uncertainty, and most of all, respect. But Earth was not a threat. Earth was a force for change, a force that could no longer be ignored. As the Senate session began, Orlan spoke again. "Senators," he said, his voice steady but filled with passion, "the time for hiding is over. Earth is not asking for dominance. Earth is asking for a place at the table. We are not here to conquer. We are here to cooperate, to stand side by side with the rest of the galaxy. The question is not whether Earth is powerful. The question is whether the galaxy is ready to accept a new era of peace, where every race, every species is treated equally." The room was silent as Orlan's words hung in the air. For a moment, it seemed as though no one would speak. But then, a voice cut through the silence. It was Boutran, leader of the opposition, his face twisted with anger. "You are a fool, Orlan Vasca. You speak of peace, but Earth's power is a threat to everything we have worked for. We will not let Earth take its place among us. We will fight to keep it out, to keep it in its place." Orlan's eyes narrowed. He knew this battle was far from over, but he also knew that Earth's power was undeniable. The galaxy could either embrace change or face the consequences of rejecting it. Earth's hidden strength had been revealed, and there was no going back. The galaxy would have to decide whether to welcome Earth as an equal or fight against its rise. Either way, the age of silence was over, and Earth was ready to make its mark on the galaxy once again. The Senate's reckoning. The Senate chamber was in an uproar. Orlan Vasca had done what no one else had dared to do. He had brought Earth's power into the light. Now, the galaxy's future was hanging in the balance. Would the Senate accept Earth's return as an equal member, or would it try to crush the human race before it could rise? The High Chancellor Zarkin slammed his gavel, trying to restore order. But the room was chaotic, filled with shouts and accusations from every corner. Senators from all races, all corners of the galaxy, had different views on Earth's place in the galaxy. Some saw Earth as a new hope for peace and prosperity. Others saw it as a threat, an uncontrollable force that could upset the balance of power. Orlan stood at the center of it all, his gaze unwavering. He knew the stakes. This was not just about Earth. It was about the future of the entire galaxy. The truth was out, and the Senate had no choice but to face it. Enough. Zarkin's voice cut through the chaos, and the room fell silent once again. We will settle this the only way we know how, through a vote. The proposal was clear. Earth could join the Senate once again, but with certain conditions. They would have to agree to a limited role, a gradual reintegration into galactic politics. Earth's military strength would be monitored, and its influence would be kept in check, at least for now. The Senate wanted control over Earth's return, ensuring that it would not rise too quickly or disrupt the status quo. But Orlan knew that this was not enough. Earth had paid too high a price to be relegated to the sidelines again. Earth was not asking for permission. It was demanding respect, demanding equality. And if the Senate could not offer that, then Earth would stand alone. The time for limits is over, Orlan said, his voice ringing out with authority. Earth will not be treated as an outsider, a second-class member of this Senate. We have earned our place. We have earned our respect. We will no longer hide in the shadows. We will stand as equals among you all, or we will stand alone. The room was silent as Orlan's words echoed through the chamber. His challenge hung in the air, unanswered, as the Senate grappled with the decision before them. The choice was clear. Accept Earth as an equal or risk the galaxy's unity. Boutran, the leader of the opposition, stood up with a sneer on his face. You speak of equality, Orlan Vasca, but Earth has shown us nothing but secrecy and deception. We cannot allow such a planet to rise. The galaxy cannot be ruled by a race that hides its true power. The Senate will not bow to your demands. The tension in the room grew thicker, and Orlan's resolve hardened. He had expected this. Boutran would never accept Earth's rise. But the question was whether the rest of the Senate would. Would they follow the old ways, where power was hoarded by a few, or would they embrace the new future that Earth represented? Zarkin called for a vote, and the chamber fell into an uneasy silence. The senators filed into their voting booths, casting their ballots. Orlan stood, waiting, feeling the weight of the moment. The outcome of this vote would determine whether the galaxy would enter a new era of cooperation or fall into conflict. Finally, the results were read aloud. The proposal to reinstate Earth as a full member of the Galactic Senate passes. A murmur of surprise swept through the chamber. The vote had been closer than anyone expected, but in the end, the majority had decided that the time for change had come. Earth would no longer remain silent. Earth would be part of the galaxy, as an equal, not a subordinate. Orlan felt a surge of relief and pride, but he knew that this victory was only the beginning. The Senate had agreed to Earth's return, but the galaxy would have to adjust to the new reality. There would be those who resisted, who would try to undermine Earth's place, but Orlan was confident that the truth was on their side. Earth was not just a planet of warriors, it was a planet of survivors, a planet that had fought and won against impossible odds. The battle had been won, but the war for the future of the galaxy was just beginning.